series, I speak with 8 incredible thinkers in Africa, people working to solve complex challenges across the board. We discuss the civic space in Africa, the physical and online spaces where people come together to exercise their rights in shaping our societies. The civic space is important because it provides everyone with an opportunity to contribute to a thriving, inclusive society. Join us for these diverse topics, from ensuring technology positively serves society to ensuring that communities come together to increase women and youth's participation in decision-making. We'll just circle back on that. What role does civil society have to play in shaping global conversations and policies around AI tools and technology? Is there space for that, and is it important, especially for African civil society organizations, to participate in these spaces?
There must be space for Africa. We're talking about 2 billion people of an entire, Earth. So there must be space for Africa. And what that means is some of these conversations around artificial intelligence or technology in the public interest, like we'll call it at MacArthur, must be happening on the African continent, led by Africans. And it's not happening enough yet. That's one. Second is wherever these conversations are happening, there's got to be African voices. And so whether it's at the Commission on the Status of Women at the UN, whether it is the UN General Assembly or Davos that happens every January in Switzerland.
The AI Summit.
Exactly. There's got to be mainstreaming of the role of technology and what it means for every continent. Africa is a new frontier. Everybody knows that in terms of our numbers, in terms of the potential market that we have, in terms of the ingenuity of our labor force. I mean, it's tragic that our young people are leaving the continent, but we know that wherever they go, they're adding value. So that tells you the quality of human resource that we have on the continent.
Absolutely.
It's a system that is yet to really meet the needs of our young people. So there has to be room for Africans at the table. The third is that Africans themselves must come to the table prepared. We have to come explaining what kinds of technology we need. We have to express our concern about some of those racist profiling that have come to our attention in terms of how technology is already being used in ways that sometimes someone told me that, look, there was a kind of algorithm. Algorithm means the way in which you have told the machine to act. So if you've told the machine, when you see this color, silver, just shout. When you see red, just be calm. That's what is meant by the algorithm. It's showing that if you see a gorilla, you think that gorilla approximates a black person. I have not ascertained it, but it worried me. It worried me because we live in a world that can be very, very unkind, that can be very afraid of what it doesn't understand. And I know there are people who still think we live on trees in Africa. They need to come see our cities and just see what we're doing. So how do we then use technology to jumpstart the way the world sees us? I'd like to see technology at the intersection of film.
Okay.
And I'm going beyond Black, Panther here,
Yes.
and Wakanda. I'm going again above
a world
all
that doesn't exist.
Well, it shows the power of possibility,
Yes.
but I want to see how we take technology and we rebrand Africa and we make space for our young people and we bring them back. Recently, the president of Nigeria signed an executive order which is meant to ensure that local content is prioritized in everything from contracting to every kind of business. What does local content look like for technology? We need to ask ourselves that question. All the relevant ministries and civil society need to begin to ask government, what should that look like, for the citizens? Where should we begin? Are we looking at the telecommunications sector? Are we looking at the financial technology sector? Where exactly do we want to look at? So a dialogue, because, war might always happen when it happens, but eventually it gets resolved through dialogue. So everybody still needs to sit at that table. So a dialogue at this point would be very useful to set the parameters while it's still morning yet on Creation Day, to agree that, look, we haven't gone too far. Let us have our guardrails of governance, the do's and the don'ts, the things we're going to accept and we're not going to accept. And civil society has a more important role there because they have got the learning and the awareness. And government is opening up a whole lot more. I tell you why it's opening up a whole lot more. That transitioning into government that began to happen, after 2003 has continued. So in different ways, you find that some of the people who are in government right now are civil society players. I mean, the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy of Nigeria, Bosun Tijani, is a tech icon,
He is.
From civil society. And so everybody wishes him well, expects a lot, and we're all falling over ourselves to see how we can support him to succeed, because when he does, we all do. And because it's a policy moment to do that.
Speaking of government and government officials, Madam Amina, are there any chances of you ever joining government? Because I suspect government would benefit greatly.
You're very kind,
from your skills and knowledge.
Natasha. I think I've been in government a few times. I've always been in and out of government. I continue to have my pulse, as it were, or my finger on the pulse of government, because government matters. And so I've sat on boards, advising government. I've been a social sector and information advisor, to the minister of this capital city, actually. But what I do more now is to support people who want to run for office, because I think we need different roles. We need some of us in government. We need some of us supporting those in government. We need some of us mobilizing those who should support those in government. So I try to do more of that. Because as a feminist also, I'm very wary of taking up space that I should cede to others. I'm 54 years old. And so at 54...
Looking incredible.
You're very kind, but I know the age. It's 54, very kind of you. So when you're 54, you're certainly not a spring chicken. You're not
Says
a youth.
Who, though?
Well,
Says
not
who,
in
Madam
attitude.
Amina?
Not in attitude, because I would do all of the social things that I want to do. But in terms of the space becomes something you're holding in trust.
I like that.
So when you're holding the space in trust, if someone comes to me and says, Amina, I want you to do this, I will ask myself, am I the best person to do this? Or do I know 2-3 other people who are better placed to do it? If the answer is that I know 2-3 better people, and I did that just this morning, you do it probably every day, you just forward their CVs. So I've got all kinds of CVs of people, their resume, that I have handy for when you want someone of this nature. Because sometimes they tell us they can't find the people, especially the women. And I say it's your lens that is faulty. You need to clean your lens because they are there.
We are many.
Exactly. So if you really want to have the right people, you will find them. So for me, politics, we're all politicians. The day I was born, I was a politician.
What you're saying is incredibly beautiful because you're creating space for those who may not have access.
We have to.
So I think that's incredible leadership.
Thank you.
And well done, madam.
And it comes back.
Yes.
That's the irony of it, it comes back because then I see some of these people who go further and they come to me and say, look, Amina, we know you don't want to do a long-term thing, but can you just do this for a short term for us? And I'd even forgotten they were there, So it's good to give because giving is one thing that you do that always comes back to you. My mother would always remind me of the African proverb that, you can close your hand in a fist. When you close your hand in a fist, it's true, you don't give, but you also can't receive. So, but when you're like this, you are giving, but you're also open to receive. So much better to open, yeah?
This is my new philosophy and stance now. You've been listening to Talk to Me Direct. Follow and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.